Hello YouTube, this is Anthony Sauger and you're watching Alternative Autos, the show that talks about alternative fuel vehicles and how they work. So this is my first video on this channel. I've actually been a YouTuber for quite a while. I have my another YouTube channel that I started back in 2012. Has quite a big following behind it. Totally different subject than this channel. I'm not really going to reveal it right now because I don't think it would be, what's the word, appropriate. However, we're here today with this beauty right here. This is the 2002 Honda Insight, the first generation Honda Hybrid. Now this car is a pretty rare car, and for my first video I wanted to document this vehicle because this is a vehicle that they only made 17,020 of them in the whole world. Now this car was Honda's first ever hybrid, and it was both a real-world test car, which is why they didn't make many of them, and it was also kind of a prototype for the first generation Honda Civic Hybrid, which came out around the same year, 2001 or 2002. Now, this specific car is very unique in the fact that if you look here, you'll see something that you hardly see on any cars. You will see dual side skirts on both rear wheels. Now, this was actually the last production car to ever feature this, and the reason for this is because this vehicle was designed from the ground up by Honda to be the most fuel efficient in terms of having the smallest engine to produce the most power and most efficiency out of this system. So here is a car that is, from far as I know, the only three-cylinder that Honda ever mass-produced or produced at all. Now this car is unique in the fact that it was produced in the same factory in Japan with the Honda NSX and the S2000, and it actually shares some parts with it. Like for instance, if you do look right here inside, you will see that they actually use the S2000 steering wheel, and this whole frame that you're looking at on top of the body panels is the original aluminum framework that was also designed with the NSX. Now this car is a fully aluminum car. A few parts are plastic, like for instance these little skirts right here, and even the gas tank is plastic for the most optimum weight savings. Now this car is an awesome car. It's awesome because it is Honda's first car, so it, with the hybrid system, so it does have the IMA, which stands for Integrated Motor Assist. Now, the Integrated Motor Assist was kind of a mild hybrid. A mild hybrid car is a hybrid that only powers the car with electric mode upon acceleration and other, random things. Now, most modern hybrids are what you call parallel hybrids, which means both motors usually work at the same time, and most parallel hybrids can also drive on EV mode only during, slow driving or low loads of power. However, this car wasn't, I wouldn't say it wasn't advanced enough, but they didn't want to go for that in this original car here. Now, before I show you the inside of this car any further, I want to go over what kind of power source we have in this vehicle. Now, I have seen a lot of YouTube videos on this car, and they don't really explain anything about it. Now, honestly, a lot of these YouTube videos that I've seen they don't really talk anything most about the car. The only ones that I could find talking about the car were the original ones from when this car came out. So what we have here is the Honda IMA system, Integrated Motor Assist. It is a 3-cylinder, 1-liter petrol engine, obviously, and it is mated to a 14 horsepower, very thin electric motor, which I believe is somewhere under here, under the air intake. Now, this is a car that does not have a lot of power. We are talking 67 horsepower and 66 torque from the engine, and 14 horsepower and 36 instant pound-feet of torque at 0 RPM from the electric motor. Now, this is a special electric motor designed from non-rare metals. So that's a first, basically, that I've heard of, and it is very thin. It's only like 2 or 2.5 inches long, so it is a very tiny but powerful electric motor. Now you could see in here in this engine bay there is a lot of extra space, and we do have our normal 12-volt battery, as you can see, but we also have a almost 1 kilowatt hour nickel metal hydride battery in the back of the car, which I can show you right now. So in the back of the hatchback, it's pretty roomy, and even though that you do have all of the space, it would be a lot more space if the battery wasn't so big. Now, in Honda's later hybrid models, starting with that Civic Hybrid that did come out in, I believe, 2001, the battery was slimmed down a lot. Before this first generation, we have this whole area right here, from the back of the two seats, yes, it's a two-seater, to right here where you have the little extra trunk space for whatever else that you might want to put. Now, under this, you can actually pull this floor mat up to reveal the whole battery size. Now, it is a 144 volt. As I said, it's a nickel metal hydride battery. It's almost 1 kilowatt hour. So, under electric power alone, theoretically, it could probably travel 4 to 5 miles if for some reason the gas engine stopped. Now, the good thing about these IMA Hondas is I believe it's the only hybrid where it is what's called a serial hybrid, which means if one engine goes out, the other will still work independently from it, so you won't be stranded. At least if your engine goes out, you won't be stranded for 5 miles or so. Now, as I mentioned from you looking here, you can see that this car is a weird car in the fact that it's the only hybrid, once again, that I know of, besides Honda's own CRZ, which was based off of this car, that is a two-door, and it also is a hatchback, so it is what they call a three-door hybrid. Now, it is a very nice looking car in my opinion. I find it attractive. There is a really fine line for this car in that you either find it attractive or you find it horribly ugly. Some parts of it I like, some parts I don't, but I bought it. I like it enough that I bought it. Now, this car is a hybrid, so back in the day you were able to get the California Clean Air Vehicle carpool lane access stickers, which means you could drive in the carpool lane with one person. Actually, a fun fact about this car is this is the so far still the world's most efficient gasoline-powered vehicle, and for that you can actually get the white stickers, which I have on the car, which are usually on EVs, and that's because this car is a super ultra low emissions vehicle, as it used to say right here anyways, and you can get the white stickers with that, which means I still can use the carpool lane. Now, let's go inside the car, and as you see inside, it looks very sporty, in my opinion. You do have these two bucket seats, and it gives a nice sporty feel to the hatchback. Now, the CRZ did this a lot better, and hopefully I will be reviewing a CRZ in a future video, but as from you can see in this video, that it reminds you a lot of an S2000, and mostly because of the steering wheel, but also because of this full digital display that we have that I'll show you right now. Now, as we're going to turn on the car, you will see that the LED display is rather nice looking, especially for an older vehicle. You do have your normal rev counter going up to 7K revs, and it also has an auto stop feature, so when this car comes to a full stop, then it will turn off the engine, which is nice. You can see I have 42 mpg, which is very horrible for this car as I was driving it very hard with the AC on. This is the fully loaded model of the car, so when this car came out, it did not have AC. AC was an option. So I have AC as well as auto AC. And this is also the very rare CVT version, as most of these were ironically 5 speeds. Once again, this is one of the only hybrids that had a manual transmission in it besides Honda's own CRZ and older models of that Civic Hybrid. Now, you could see reminiscent of those old Honda stereos, which I very much like. It also has a 6-disc CD player, which was again an option. And unfortunately for this car, even though it has a sport mode, ironically, which is pretty much funny as hell, it does not have cruise control, so that does suck. However, you do have your automatic mirror adjustments, you do have both electric windows, this one is auto, and just other things. You can, with this button, you can change your trip computers and stuff like that, just showing your total mileage and stuff like that. Now, of course, you have your Prendle right here. You have your charge button for when the regenerative braking charges your battery. If you didn't know, hybrids and electric cars, when you take your foot off the gas pedal, they will stop on their own and basically spins the electric motor in reverse and gives you that power back into the battery. Now, this is your assist button. It's basically the rev counter for the electric motor. It tells you when the electric motor is operating. In this car, since it is a serial real hybrid, and at that a mild hybrid, it only operates under acceleration. Now you can see your gas gauge here and your battery gauge here. My battery gauge is really low because I was not stopping, and I was basically accelerating a lot way more than I was stopping. Now this car will usually not charge the battery unless you're stopping, because it is that mild hybrid and it wants to save the gas as much as possible. Now if you don't know anything about hybrids, they don't need a plug to charge them. You just simply turn the car on and the engine and or braking will charge the car. Now that is what it looks like when it is turned on. Now, if you actually turn on the engine, it's interesting because your 14 horsepower electric motor in the front is also your starter. So, if you were to turn on this car, since the horsepower of the electric motor is so powerful, it's instant start. You can't even hear the engine turn over. You just click it there, and the car is on and operating. Now, even though it is a hybrid, and a small engine Honda, it actually does idle pretty high. It idles about 12 or 1300 RPM, and I'm not sure why, but that is interesting. However, this car is very quiet to drive. Even for a 3-cylinder that whines all day, if you step on the gas, it is very quiet to drive. Maybe not if you have the hood open, but it is very fun to drive as well. Now, even though with all this lack of power, because this car is fully aluminum, it only weighs a crazy 1,800 pounds. Now, this fully loaded CVT model weighs closer to 2,000, but that is a very extremely light car. And on top of that, thanks to these skirts and other things, like if you come over here, you can see the wheel blocks for the aerodynamics on both wheels, kind of diverts the air under and around the tire. And this is my own addition, which I will show you right now. I added a front grille air dam to make the drag even lower. So from factory, this has a drag of only 0.25. And now if you're not really good at aerodynamics, that is quite a lot better than a Corvette. I believe the newest Corvette has 0.30, a Tesla has something like 0.24, a Prius has something like 0.27, I believe, that kind of thing. So this is a very aerodynamic and lightweight car. So even though you get only 73 combined horsepower, this is still able to do 0 to 60 between 12 and 10 seconds. It depends on what model you have and the circumstances of driving the car, and it will get to a ludicrously fast 112 miles an hour for the power. So you do get a pretty fun and sporty car. Interesting enough, because of these side fenders, the rear wheels are actually scooped inwards more towards the body than the outer ones, so you can get this thing to get a lot of oversteer sometimes. You can probably get it to drift pretty well, and it is just a fun car to drive overall. Now, in terms of efficiency, this car was rated at about 65 mpg for the 5-speed and about 53 mpg combined for this CVT model. Now, I in fact get somewhere between 40 mpg if I'm stepping on it all the time, up to 75 mpg. And the world record for a Honda Insight has been about 122 mpg. Other things to note, the stereo system in this car is really good. At least if it's not blown out, mine actually is. But otherwise, that's really all it is. It's just the bare basics. It's actually the world's, or not the world's, but it's the first mass-produced hybrid in terms of being in the U.S. Honda did beat the Prius to the U.S. About 8 or 9 months early. This car came out in the U.S. in late 1999 as a 2000 model, and the Prius came out in late 2000 as a 2001 model, I believe, for the U.S. However, the Prius did come out 2 years earlier, only in Japan, however. So this was the world's first mass-produced hybrid. It is a very good first try from Honda and from anybody at that point. Now, I think I'm gonna cut this video right now. I did have probably a little bit more to talk about, but this is just a really rundown on this car. Tell me if you like this video. I'm not really the best at making car reviews on this particular channel. I'll be making more of car breakdowns of certain models, as I don't have the time to actually go and review every car that I want. However, I just wanted to show you guys my own personal car. So tell me what you think for a first video, and welcome to Alternative Autos. I hope you come back, I hope you subscribe and like this video, and see more like it in the future. My name is Tony Sauger, and thanks for watching this video. I will see you guys in another video. Bye.